In today, the second video of the day, we are going to look at another special kind of right triangle. This one is called the 30, 60, 90 triangle. And hopefully it's pretty obvious to see why it's called that. One of the angles is 30, one of the angles is 60, and one of the angles is 90 degrees. And you can tell right away that adds up to 180, we're all good. So just like the 45, 45, 90 triangle, I think it's pretty easy to see that all 30, 60, 90 triangles are similar, right? We know that by angle, angle. Okay? So once we understand the proportions, once we know what you multiply by to get between the different sides, then we will know what those proportions are for every single 30, 60, 90 triangle in the universe. Okay? This is going to go off to the side for a minute because I'm going to need that space. So let's pick the hypotenuse of this triangle. I used A last time. I think I'm going to use R this time. Okay? R is the length of the hypotenuse, and you can tell which one's the hypotenuse because it is opposite the 90-degree angle. In fact, let's talk vocabulary really quick. This is the hypotenuse. And from here on out, with 30, 60, 90 triangles, I am going to call the side that is opposite the 30-degree side the small leg. And I'm going to call the leg opposite the 60-degree angle the large leg. It should hopefully be pretty easy to see that if you have a wider angle, that's going to lead to a larger side on the opposite side. Right? A smaller angle means that you're going to have a smaller side opposite it. Okay? So hypotenuse is the longest side, and then you've got the small leg and the large leg. This is different from the 45, 45, 90 triangle in that both the legs in the 45, 45, 90 triangle were the same. This time we have two different legs. So once again, we're going to call the hypotenuse R. I'm not choosing that letter arbitrarily, but you'll see why I call it R probably next year or the year after. Now, I bet you could figure out pretty easily, once I show you, what this side is here. Okay? And here's how we're going to do it. Remember how last time in the 45, 45, 90 triangle, we used the fact that it was half of a square, and we used that to figure out the sides? Well, this 30, 60, 90 triangle is half of an equilateral triangle. If we reflect the 30, 60, 90 triangle vertically across this line of reflection, we end up getting a equilateral triangle that has side lengths of R, R, and R, right? All three side lengths are R. So hopefully you can see that just this side here across from the 30-degree angle, that side right there, is R divided by 2, or you could call it 1/2 R. Those are the same. I am in fact going to use 1/2 R. But it's really the same thing. 1/2 R, R over 2, they're the same. Which would incidentally make this side 1/2 R as well, so that the two bottom sides add up to R. That makes sense. At least I hope it makes sense. You tell me. So now we know that no matter what the hypotenuse is, the short leg is half of it. So if I know that the short leg is 10, then I know that the hypotenuse is 20. If I know that the short leg, or if I know that the long leg is 70, then I know that the short leg is 35, right? Half of it. So far it seems pretty much the same as the the 45-45-90 triangle, in that we now know that to get from this side to this side, if you're going this way, you divide by 2. If you're going the opposite way, you multiply by 2. The hypotenuse of a 30, 60, 90 triangle is always exactly 2 times its short leg. And you can always reverse that to say that the short leg is half the hypotenuse. Those two mean the same thing. Now, I'm not going to show the whole process because I will probably have you do it as an exercise on a quiz or an exam or something. We can use the Pythagorean theorem now to find this third side. And it turns out that to find the third side, you take the short side and multiply it by the square root of 3. So this side, this longer leg, is the square root of 3 divided by 2 times r. Now this is slightly different from the last triangle, right? The last triangle, the hypotenuse was the square root of 2 times bigger than the leg. In this case, the long leg is the short leg times the square root of 3. So again, if we were going the other way, if we had the long leg and we wanted the short leg, we would divide by the square root of 3. Okay, so I'm going to erase all this nonsense, and we're going to do a couple of examples. So before we go on to example problems, I'm going to pause on this screen because you really want to write this down. Okay, so let's look at a problem. And I'm just going to make these up. So let's say I've got a 30, 60, 90 triangle, and my short side is 10 feet. Okay? The short side is 10 feet. And I want to find those two sides. Well, again, I don't have to do any serious math. I know from our notes that the hypotenuse is twice the short leg. So whatever the short leg is, the hypotenuse is going to be twice that. Okay? And then I see here that to find the long leg, which is what we need, take the short leg and multiply it by the square root of 3. So we're going to do that. We get 10 times the square root of 3. And that's it. We're done. Big happy face. We are absolutely done. Once you have this pattern down, it gets really fast. I wouldn't necessarily say easy, but it gets really quick. Let's do another one. This time I'm given the hypotenuse is, 28. Okay? The hypotenuse is 28, and I'm looking for the other two sides. Well, again, the hypotenuse is double the short leg, so the short leg should be 14. Right? To get from here to here, I divided by 2. Or I multiplied by 1/2. They're the same thing. And then, to get from the short leg to the large leg, we need to multiply by the square root of 3. This is the stuff I want you paying attention to. I want you to know what to do, not what the numbers look like, because there will be times when Khan Academy or the SATs or me, we will throw difficult problems at you that are specifically intended to catch you if you aren't actually seeing the pattern. So for example, in this example, the large leg is 18, and I need to know the small leg and the hypotenuse. Okay, well, my notes tell me that to get the long leg, I take the short leg and multiply it by the square root of 3. Reading that backwards, to get the short leg, you would take the long leg and divide by the square root of 3. So my short leg should be 18 divided by the square root of 3. Now, again, there are ways of simplifying this answer that I will teach you in a future video. For some reason, a lot of teachers don't like having a square root on the bottom of a fraction, and we will talk about how to clean that up later. But for now, we need to figure out how to get the hypotenuse. Well, according to my notes, the hypotenuse is always exactly 2 times the short leg. So I'm going to take the short leg, which is 18 divided by the square root of 3, and I'm going to multiply it by 2. Now, here's a question. Do I multiply the top and the bottom of the equation by 2? Well, if we did that, we'd get 36 over 2 root 3, which cancels to make 18 over root 3. That can't be right. That's the same thing we started with. So you don't want to multiply the top and the bottom of the equation. You're going to take 18 over root 3, and you're going to multiply it by 2, but remember that 2, the number 2, is actually a fraction, right? All whole numbers are fractions. It's just 2 over 1. So the answer is 36 divided by the square root of 3. Now, I will do lots more examples of this in future videos, but for now, you'll want to jump onto Khan Academy and take a look at the special right triangles topic. Now, this is a topic, both this and the 45-45-90 triangle are topics that take a lot of practice to get used to. So, starting right now, I will link a couple of videos with a few example problems and a more detailed proof about how the 30-60-90 triangle came to be. Check out those videos, check out the Khan Academy, and if you still don't understand, remember to check out the hints and videos on the Khan Academy. And if you still don't get it, send me an email with a screenshot. I'll make sure to bring it up in my next online office hours. Thanks very much for watching. I hope this makes sense. These 2 special right triangles are made to make your life a lot faster and easier. So you should probably just write down the 2 diagrams for these 2 triangles and keep them on a sheet of paper by your computer so that you don't forget them. I hope everybody's safe. I hope everybody's happy. I'll see you next time, and class dismissed.